What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And hey, everyone, welcome on into the live stream. I haven't done one of these in well over a year at this point, but there wasn't really that much to talk about in terms of new stuff coming out this week because, it's the bye week. So I figured, come on here, let's do a live stream. I've been wanting to do this anyways. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I apologize if things don't go super smoothly on this live stream. I want to get better equipment and stuff and figure out, kind of how to do this the right way. But, for now, this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to try it out, see how it goes. Everyone who's in here, random Saturday afternoon, unannounced, 65 people in here already. I did not expect that many people to be in here since I haven't done one of these and didn't even announce it. So thank you, everybody. Let's see if we can get to 65 likes on the stream so far with everyone in here. Shout out to Emily, Yarrick, D Smith Productions, John, all these people in here. Wow. Yeah, appreciate all you guys. We got a lot of stuff that I'm going to talk about today, mainly just stuff that I've already probably talked about during the week so far. Stuff like Nick Sirianni and how, upcoming here, coming off this bye week, this is probably going to be his last chance to prove that he still deserves to be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think we all probably know that. Plenty of other stuff as well. But I do want to start off by going over some of the games that are going to happen tomorrow. Since, I'm kind of glad the Eagles don't have a game this week just because every single week they manage to stress me out more and more. So I think, it'll be a good change of pace just to have a week off from that. And then hopefully we can, learn things, recovered, made adjustments, and come out of the bye week and get things going. Because the Eagles still do have a very real chance to, go on a run, make the playoffs, all that, despite all the issues that obviously are there. The very real concerns that I've been talking about all week and all the other Eagles fans have been talking about all week. But yeah, so let's start off by going over some of these games. Excuse me if I'm not exactly super smooth on this because I'm not great with the live streaming stuff, guys. I apologize. I made these custom layouts and I'm not sure if they're going to work with. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Share screen. My fault. I apologize. 89 people. Again, if you guys are on here, hit the like button. See if we can get to 89 likes. I really do appreciate all you guys in here. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know what I'm doing at all, but let's see if we can do this. Hold on. Oh boy, there's a lot of stuff I got. Okay. All right. Let's just pick one of these. Hopefully this is the right one. That is the right one. Okay. So let's start off with, honestly, I'm not even going to go too in depth with these game previews because I feel like there's not, that's the wrong thing. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. There we go. So yeah, Giants are taking on the Seahawks this week in Seattle. Seahawks are obviously 3-1. They're coming off their first loss of the season, but overall they've been a pretty surprising team. And then the Giants are obviously 1-3. I think their one win was who's their one win against? I can't even remember, honestly, because I just don't see the Giants as a legitimate threat in the NFC East. I think when you look at the NFC East, there's 3 teams in there that I think could possibly win the division, and then there's the New York Giants. The really good thing they got going for them has been Malik Neighbors so far this season, but he is ruled out for this game, I believe. If I go to the injury report here, there we go. So he's ruled out with a concussion after last week's game versus the Giants. Then you also got Devin Singletary, who's going to be doubtful for this game. And then Adoree Jackson, Drew Phillips, and Matthew Adams are all questionable. I see the Seahawks winning. I don't really think I got a ton to say about that. I don't think that's a crazy take or anything. DeVonta Smith Production says he needs JSN to do good. Is that for fantasy? I'm assuming that's for fantasy. I didn't do fantasy this year. I've done it every single year, and this year I just didn't do it because I don't know. I'm so locked in on this. I'm trying my very best to stay focused and just be 100% locked in on these videos. But yeah, usually I would do a video today, and that was my plan originally going into the week. But I don't know. There wasn't that much stuff to talk about that was new that I haven't already talked about. So I figured let's hop in here, do a live stream, hang out with all you guys. I do appreciate all you guys for being in here. JJ, Birdie, Power Lion, Go Birds 21. 21, hey, that's a solid number. I do apologize again if I'm all over the place right now, but I'm just trying to, get into the groove of things and hopefully get better and make this a regular thing. But yeah, Giants, I expect them to take a loss this week. Not really too concerned about them this season. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Cowboys versus Steelers game, which that should be an interesting matchup. I think the Steelers are an interesting team in that obviously they're always going to be really good defensively, and they have been so far this season. And then they started off the year 3-0. It's just that, their quarterback is Justin Fields. Now, he's looked better, I'd say, to start the season. I haven't been paying attention too much to the Steelers. I can't say I have. I did watch a little bit of their first game versus the Falcons just ahead of us playing the Falcons that week. But yeah, their defense is going to be good. It's just the offense with Justin Fields probably isn't always going to be that great. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to see how they go against this Cowboys team who at times can have a really good offense, but so far this season they have struggled. Their run game hasn't been great to start the year, obviously, and I think that's one of the things that's really caused them to be a little bit more of a question mark this season. But yeah, this will be a decent game to pay attention to. Hopefully the Cowboys lose, as goes for every single week. But especially now, since we're both tied 2-2 in the division, Eagles are obviously coming off a loss, so we need the Cowboys to take a loss here in this game. And honestly, I think the reason that I'm feeling I'm feeling okay. I don't want to say I'm feeling good because obviously there's a ton of issues with the Eagles right now, that we're going to get into a bit later. But the Cowboys don't look that good either. I feel like usually it's always Eagles and Cowboys battling for the NFC East division crown. So I just don't feel that good about the Cowboys. Well, as an Eagles fan, I feel good about the Cowboys, but the Cowboys fans probably don't feel that good about how the Cowboys have looked so far to start this year. What ended up being the final score of that Giants game? Because I watched when they were up big. Yeah, it was not like a blowout or anything. Obviously, they got destroyed by the Saints. They beat the Browns pretty good in week 1, but it's the Browns. We'll get more into that later because obviously we play them next week. And then this Ravens game, they were getting killed, and then they came back but still lost. So I'm not super high on the Cowboys this year. Obviously, I never am because I hate them. But I don't see them being a super good team. So I think Pittsburgh probably wins this game. Let's go. Hold on. Injury report. I forgot to do that. Sorry, guys. I'm all over the place. Cowboys injury report. Here it is. Okay. So, yeah, cornerback, Jalen Carson questionable with a shoulder injury. Brandon Cooks, he's out with a knee injury. I believe they put him on IR from what I saw. And then Micah Parsons, this is the biggest one. He is questionable with an ankle injury. I don't believe that he practiced. Yeah, he didn't practice on Friday. He didn't practice really the whole week. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays. Obviously, he's one of the Cowboys' best players, if not their best player, definitively. So that's obviously going to be big. But again, I think I see the Steelers winning this game. And then I want to get to this other game, which this will be the interesting game to me to watch tomorrow. Cleveland Browns versus the Washington Commanders in Washington. And this is interesting for multiple reasons. One being that the Eagles obviously play the Cleveland Browns next week, coming off their bye week. Browns haven't looked so good so far this season, so hopefully when we play them, they don't look that good. But then obviously this week, we're going to want them to take a win here against the Washington Commanders, who are probably one of the hottest teams in the NFL, if not the hottest team in the NFL, coming off to, I believe, back-to-back 40-point performances, right? No, 42 points and 38 points. So, yeah, they've been really good offensively so far. Oh, I just got a notification. I need to not get distracted. But yeah, they've been really good offensively these past few weeks. Hold on. What happened? There we go. Okay. Yeah, my fault. Jaden Daniels has looked really good too. So that's been really interesting to watch as an Eagles fan, but also kind of scary, especially since, he's in the division. He just got drafted here. You're hoping that, when your division rival drafts a quarterback, they don't pan out. Looks like Jaden Daniels is panning out so far this season. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on how the Commanders and Jaden Daniels have looked so far. And we're going to get a little bit more into this as we go here. But yeah, just give me your guys' thoughts. I'm curious to see, because I feel like, honestly, at this point, that the Commanders are probably the Eagles' biggest threat in the NFC East right now, which is weird to say, just coming into the season, always expecting it to be the Cowboys, and then it ends up being the Commanders, at least so far through 4 games. So let's see here. If we want a chance to win the division, Commanders got to lose, says Powerline. I don't think that's necessarily true, just because we're so early in the season still, but I definitely understand your point. if they did win, that would then give them a cushion. So I think you're definitely right in saying that they have to lose. Obviously, we're all rooting for them to lose. I don't think it's like a must-lose situation to where if they win, then we're screwed and we can't win the division, because obviously there's a lot of season left. But yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from with that. Chris Warner says, we got one healthy game on horrible field, new coordinator again, and an injury every week. We can't judge this team until we get 3-4 healthy games in a row. I agree to an extent. I think obviously having A.J. Brown being out since week 1, that obviously really, really hurts your offense. Same with DeVonta Smith being out this past game, and also for like the end of the Saints game as well, and also missing Lane Johnson for most of the Saints game in this entire last game. That's probably 3 of your best players on offense. Maybe Saquon Barkley's definitely. He's looked really, really good this season. He might be up there, but I'd say A.J. Brown's probably your best player on offense. Lane Johnson's your best lineman, and DeVonta Smith is obviously an incredible weapon as well. And obviously, like you said, we do have a new coordinator, so it definitely does affect things. I would say, though, if you look at how the offense has been run, you can kind of judge and see, like, this probably isn't just a full-blown Kellen Moore level offense. We're seeing Sirianni's offense mixed in quite a bit, and especially in that Week 4 game versus the Bucs, which we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But that's not been the most positive thing to watch as an Eagles fan, hoping that after last season with how everything went offensively towards the end of the year, things were going to change with Kellen Moore coming in. Obviously, things are different now. So we'll see. Let's see for people's thoughts on the Commanders, because I just got sidetracked. But that was a good comment. I wanted to go into that. Yeah, Powerline already says Commanders must lose. Otherwise, we might not win the division. Again, I think it's early in the season. Obviously, it'd be great for them to lose. I hope they lose, but I don't think it's a must-lose situation. But I'll be curious to see how the game goes and like how they actually look against the Cleveland Browns defense. That, I mean, I haven't watched too much Cleveland Browns football, admittedly, to start the year, but I don't think they're always a solid defense. So that'll be interesting. It's the CV says, interested to see how Jaden Daniels progresses throughout the year. We can't expect him to look this good the whole season. Yeah, I mean, it's been really crazy how fast he started the year. Week 1 was a little bit like, I don't know if I want to say shaky, maybe a little shaky, just because like these past 3 games, he's looked really, really good, especially the past 2. I believe I want to get into this article a little bit later about how Jaden Daniels has looked, because he's been unbelievable to start the season. I believe he's like completion percentage wise, he's had one of the best stretches in NFL history or something like that. So let me see here if I can share this. Let me get over here. Commanders. My fault, guys. Not the best live streamer. Let's okay, wait. No, that's the wrong thing. Hold on. Bear with me. Again, everyone who's in here, 89 of you guys right now, I really do appreciate you. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Also subscribe. We're at 40,000 now, which is just insane. On the road to 50,000. So again, subscribe if you haven't already. But I do appreciate all you guys. All right, here we go. So Jaden Daniels lands inside the top 10 quarterback rankings. This is an article from Brian Manning of USA Today, Commanders USA Today. Was it Commanders Wire or something? I don't know. Anyways, here we go. It says, Jaden Daniels didn't take long to introduce himself to the NFL. The Washington Commanders rookie is off to a sizzling start in his NFL career, completing 82% of his passes with 7 touchdowns through 4 games. In addition, Daniels has the Commanders, who held the number 2 pick, at 3-1 and in first place in the NFC East. So, yeah, I mean, 82% completion percentage through 4 games is impressive for any quarterback, let alone a rookie quarterback. So definitely not great to see as an Eagles fan, but he looked really, really good. And the article goes on to say, of course, Daniels has had help. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has done a phenomenal job of bringing Daniels along. While the skill positions have been excellent, the offensive line is much improved from the season ago. So, yeah, they mentioned there offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. It's interesting because I believe the Eagles either interviewed him or they considered him for the offensive coordinator position during the offseason. Obviously, he goes to Washington, and Daniels is seeing all the success that he's having. So, Kingsbury's definitely done a great job so far in 4 games. That comment that you made, this is CV, is interesting because Daniels has looked just unreal through 4 games. Obviously, it's really, really early. Defenses are going to start to, figure out his tendencies and what he likes to do. So hopefully, like you said, he doesn't continue to be this successful throughout the entire season, but he definitely has surprised me, surprised probably every NFL fan. I mean, there's people that thought he was going to be good. I don't think people thought he was going to be this good to start the year. What does this say here? Because I believe this is what I read earlier. A rookie just doesn't, hold on, NFL.com revealed its QB index for week 5. Daniels cracked the top 10 at number 8. Says a rookie doesn't just luck into the best completion percentage, 82.1% by any NFL player in a 4-game span since at least 1950. So there you go. Like I said, that's historic. I mean, what he's been doing is unprecedented. We don't see that from anybody. We don't see that from Patrick Mahomes. We don't see that from any of the top quarterbacks in the league. It's just unbelievable how good he's looked. And he's also, it's not like he's just taking all these short passes. There's been moments where he's pushed the ball down the field and had some really great deep passes to some of his receivers. Terry McLaurin, he's having the time of his life right now because he's been a great receiver his entire career, but this is the first time he seems to have a real quarterback. So yeah, it's been unbelievable the way he started, and it's kind of scary. And that also brings up the question of, hold on, let me get to this article. I apologize. Let's see here. Okay. So obviously last season, Brian Johnson was the Eagles offensive coordinator. We got him fired. Like, we wanted him fired at the end of the season, which ended up happening because of how bad the Eagles offense collapsed towards the end of the year. We saw how boring it got. We saw how predictable it got. We saw all the issues there, which is, the bad route trees, the simple route trees, the high school level offense, whatever you want to call it. And Brian Johnson ends up being the scapegoat, fall guy, whatever you want to say there. He gets fired. We bring in Kellen Moore, whatever. Brian Johnson then goes to the Commanders as the passing game coordinator, I believe. And Jayden Daniels is off to an incredible start. And this is now, I think, kind of it shows you a trend. It shows you like what really happened last year because, Brian Johnson, for the first 2 years that he was with the Eagles, he was the quarterback's coach. He was Jalen Hurts. Obviously, him and Jalen Hurts have had a relationship pretty much Hurts' entire life. So, during those first 2 years, you saw Brian Johnson help develop Jalen Hurts. He became a much better player. He became a better, more accurate passer of the football. He just became a better decision maker and better overall quarterback to the point where in 2022, he was the MVP candidate that, took us to the Super Bowl and looked like he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league for years to come, no question, right? So then 2023 rolls around. Brian Johnson is promoted to offensive coordinator while Shane Steichen, who was the offensive coordinator, goes to be the head coach of the Colts. And then Jalen Hurts obviously takes that step back. The offense just looks a whole lot more simple, bland. So, people were, like myself, for example, people were blaming Brian Johnson a lot for that. But now he goes to the Commanders. Jayden Daniels already looks incredible in his first 4 games as a rookie, while the Commanders' offense and passing game looks great, along with, Brian Johnson is a big part of developing that, along with Cliff Kingsbury, right? And then over here with the Philadelphia Eagles, even with Kellen Moore, who's been a very successful offensive coordinator in this league, you still see those same issues with the offense being boring, it being predictable, not providing all these short routes over the middle of the field to counteract some of the pressure, especially that last week against the Bucs. And what's the common denominator of that? Nick Sirianni is still here as the head coach, and it still seems like he has a very big hand in this offense. Brian Johnson, 3 out of his 4 years in the NFL so far, I mean, this is obviously only through 4 games this year, but still, he's seen a lot of success. And then that last year, we were all blaming him when it kind of seems like that was on Nick Sirianni. So let me read what this article says here. My fault. I got to look into my little, my narrative got going there. Let's see. 4 weeks into the 2024-25 NFL season, Commanders to the top NFC East. Brian Johnson, their assistant head coach, so he's the assistant head coach and offensive pass game coordinator, is working closely with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury in developing rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels. Johnson's journey from Philadelphia to Washington is proving to be a storyline worth following. Now, obviously, like I just said, he spent last season as an offensive coordinator before he was the quarterback's coach while Jalen Hurts was developing. It's worth noting that Johnson's success and offensive acumen at the collegiate level were significant. Yeah, he had a lot of success in college. Now in Washington, he's overseeing Daniels' progression, and the young quarterback is showing promising signs of development. The comparison between Daniels and Jalen Hurts provides an intriguing narrative. Daniels completed just under 92% of his passes in his 3rd career NFL start, the best mark ever by a rookie. This statistic highlights the potential impact of Johnson's coaching on a young quarterback's performance. So again, like I said, obviously Jaden Daniels has seen tremendous success under Brian Johnson so far this year, while Jalen Hurts saw a ton of success with him as the quarterback's coach those first 2 years, especially that second year in 2022. Meanwhile, then he becomes the offensive coordinator for us. Sirianni seems to kind of have his hands in the offense. He's kind of the main driver of that whole thing. Brian Johnson takes the fall, but it seems like, Brian Johnson kind of knows what he's doing. Us Eagles fans might owe him an apology. So I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on that. Man, I forgot how much I get into these live streams, and then I just get out of breath really quickly because let's see some of these comments. Finally caught a stream, yo. I haven't been streaming since I think the last stream I did was probably the 2023 draft. So you haven't missed much. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on Brian Johnson and how he's looked with the Commanders so far. Again, going back to that game. They're going to play the Browns tomorrow. I think they're going to win that game. They're going to go to 4-1, and then we're going to have some ground to make up in the NFC East. Obviously, the Commanders are going to have some tougher games to play moving forward, but it is really interesting just to see how Brian Johnson was hated here. Everyone was blaming him for the offense, including myself, and then he goes to Washington, and Jaden Daniels is balling out to start his career. So, says, all seriousness, Jaden Daniels is definitely a candidate for Rookie of the Year. I think he 100% is Rookie of the Year so far. The start of this season has been the craziest I've ever seen. I mean, around the league, stuff has been weird. Sam Darnold's out here looking like an MVP candidate with the Vikings. They're 4-0. So, yeah, I mean, this has been a weird season. Eagles looking, disappointing again. Meanwhile, Commanders looking a lot better than I think a lot of people expected. 99 people in here. Really appreciate every single one of you guys, especially since I didn't announce this at all. Again, hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really does help me out a ton. Really do appreciate your guys' support. And everyone in here, again, thank you so much. Got a game, Dave says, I low-key think we need to make a trade, maybe for an edge rusher like Khalil Mack from the Chargers, or making a trade with the Jets to get Reddick back. Also think we should get Olamide Zaccheaus back. That's an interesting comment because I definitely do think we really do need help at the edge rusher position. Bryce Huff has been nothing short of terrible to start this year. I mean, I was happy with that signing when we made it. Everyone was making it seem like it was going to be this, great move. Reddick wanted all this money, switch him out with Huff, but Huff has just done nothing to start the year. It's been really disappointing. It is actually really interesting. Brian Baldinger did a breakdown, I believe, saying that the Eagles aren't using him correctly and not lining him up in the right technique. So maybe that's part of it. But that's on Vic Fangio and the Eagles coaching, and they got to make adjustments. Hopefully they have made adjustments during this bye week. But, I mean, even with that, Bryce Huff should be doing a lot better. Getting Reddick back is actually impossible. I haven't talked about this in a video. But apparently there's a rule saying that if you trade a player somewhere, you can't trade for them again, or can't have them traded back to your team for another 2 years. So that's really interesting. So we can't get Reddick back at least for 2 seasons, which sucks. Olamide Zaccheaus, I just don't see that happening, especially with, we just made that trade for Jahan Dotson. And even if we did get Zaccheaus back, we don't seem to use our wide receiver 3 at all. It's beyond me. We just don't utilize some of these players the way they're supposed to be used. Jahan Dotson's done nothing. That's been another whiff by Howie, which I love Howie, but, I saw a tweet not too long ago highlighting that, he might deserve look, we all love Howie. I love Howie, but he might deserve a little bit of blame as well, because a lot of these additions he brought in during the offseason haven't really done much. I mean, Jahan Dotson, for example, hasn't done anything. You got Bryce Huff. He hasn't done anything. Devin White, he's been inactive for the first four games. I don't know what's going on with him. That whole situation is just super, super weird. I don't know what he did to the Eagles organization or to the Eagles coaching staff to just not be playing at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, there's been a few additions that haven't done much. Now, Howie's obviously a great general manager. I'm not saying he's not, but there's definitely been a couple, less than impactful signings. Even CJ Gardner-Johnson, who I love. I love his attitude. I love the energy he brings to the defensive side of the ball. It's just, he's had lapses in coverage. He's had some issues. I do like his mentality. I like what he said after the game this past week. I talked about this in one of my videos. He was just kind of saying positive, we're just 4 games in. We got a lot of time left. They're going to figure it out. I like what he said. I like his leadership as well. But yeah, he's had some issues. He does have to be better in coverage for sure. So yeah, sorry, I always go on these tangents. I read these comments and then I just get going. But yeah, no, that was a good comment. I appreciate that, Dave. Let's see here. Brian Johnson knows the Nick Sirianni scheme and they can use that against Philly. They definitely can. We just broke 100 viewers on the stream, by the way. Appreciate all you guys. 104 people in here. Again, if you haven't already, hit the like button. Really do appreciate all you guys being in here right before this Phillies playoff game. I know that's every one of you guys is probably going to want to watch that. So I'll make sure to keep this quick, get out of here so we can all go watch that game. But yeah, that's a good point. Brian Johnson does know Nick Sirianni's scheme. He can give some intel to the Washington defense. And I mean, first of all, everyone in the league knows Nick Sirianni's scheme at this point. Like, the 49ers exposed it last year. Everyone's figured it out at this point. So, dude, he's just got to give. We're going to get more into the Nick Sirianni thing in just a minute. But let me read some of these comments first. Bryce off his butt, yeah. We can't get, like I said, we can't get Reddick back since it's against the NFL rules. Agent Zero is a total zero, 100%. Get rid of Nick, 100%. I think we're trending that direction. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Flatline Racer says, I think the Eagles players are too distracted being on social media and messes up their head. They need to get off of it. A lot of their problems are mental. Yeah, I mean, this is the Darius Slay situation, which is just ridiculous, is the catalyst of it. It's like, the thing that we're all seeing. But I think we are a little distracted. A lot of our players mentally a little bit distracted. Some of the stuff going on social media. Bryce Huff, I think, deleted all his posts. Devin White retweeted Levante David making a play versus the Eagles, which is just weird because what player reposts a highlight from someone against their own team during a game? Like, it's just a whole weird situation. And then obviously the Darius Slay thing. Talked about that in a video. I think I honestly, as time has gone on with that whole Slay thing, has my opinions slightly changed, being that I think it's worse than I initially was saying. I was probably one of the people more like, well, it's bad, but it could be worse. Like Darius Slay, I can understand why he was upset and blah, 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 blah. And I do think Slay, for his play on the field, sometimes does get criticized a little bit unnecessarily at times, but I definitely understand it recently. And then the whole thing with him going on Micah Parsons' podcast and talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson and the posting the stats after the game, it screams like, we messed up, we did bad, but I did good. Like he's like defending himself when it's not about himself, it's about the team. He's a team captain, so he should know better. I do like that he apologized for posting his stats, but still, it's just not the greatest look. We're talking about the offseason additions. Mekhi was still a huge hit, 100%. So was Saquon Barkley. We all know that. Hi, Fun Boy Edits. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being in here. Let's see. Let me get to the bottom. Jersey Girl, do you think we'll actually see any changes during the bye week? I hope so. I really hope so. Oh, no, my Wi-Fi looks like it's crapping out on me. Hopefully this stream doesn't crash. If it does, I apologize. I hope so. I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up. Like, it's great that they can come out here and talk about, like Nick Sirianni came out right after the game and was like, we got the bye week. We're going to examine everything. Everything's going to be evaluated. Everything's on the table. But that's just talk. Those are all words. We need to see it actually play out. And so far, I mean, Nick has done a lot of taking accountability and a lot of ownership and a lot of saying we need to be better in this area. But there's not been very much change since the collapse started last year. So I think, I'd like to think there's going to be changes during the bye week, and for the Eagles to actually get better, and for Nick Sirianni to save his job, by the way, which we're going to get into a little bit later, that needs to happen. But is it going to happen? That's a possibly different story. So we'll see. Let's see here. Simon says, A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith will come back. Yeah, that's going to be huge for us, obviously. Not really much else to say about that. That's going to be huge for us. The offense is going to get a huge boost from that. Here we go. This is something I was waiting to see someone say. Powerline says, I think get rid of Hurts, turnover machine. I understand the frustration with Jalen Hurts 100%, not excusing him at all. He's definitely not been the player we need him to be to start this season. But I also wonder if I think a lot of it is the coaches not putting him in the best positions to succeed. And that's been a problem since the start of last year. Obviously, Shane Steichen knew what Jalen Hurts was good at, and that's why he had such a great year in 2022. Obviously, also, we haven't had A.J. Brown since week 1. We haven't had DeVonta Smith the past game and a quarter or whatever. And I don't think they're running the football enough. So I think a lot of it is coaching. Definitely, Hurts has had some moments where he's not been as accurate with the football as he's needed to be, which definitely isn't good. I've pointed that out in the past. The turnovers are a huge, huge problem. 100%. He needs to be better. But we just paid the guy. He still has, a lot of talent. He's got the right mentality. It seems he's got a great work ethic. I'm never going to question his work ethic. And I think he definitely could bounce back. It's just he's got to be put in the best positions. And I'm not ready to give up on Hurts. I feel like it's early to say that. And I also feel like I would want to see him in the right system again, like he was with Shane Steichen, before we make a decision like that. That's just my opinion. I think probably a lot of Eagles fans would agree with that. But let's see here. Let's get to a couple more of these comments, and then we're going to get – I've missed a lot. I appreciate all you guys for commenting. I'm sorry I can't get to every single one. This is my problem is when I do these streams, I try and get to every comment, and then I just get so far behind, and then I don't actually get to the stuff I wanted to talk about in the stream. So let me read 3 more comments. Let's see here. Let's see. That's a good comment from Elijah. But I'm going to talk about that later, talking about Sirianni, so I'll come back to that. Birdie, let's talk about something positive. Birdie says Quinyon has arguably been our best defensive player. 100%. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell has looked awesome to start the season. Not really much. I mean, I love his attitude. I love the mic'd up clip of him going back and forth with Mike Evans. Like, I'm just like, you're so easy to get open on. He's like, what are you talking about? You only have 1 catch on me. And then the only thing Mike Evans could say was, well, you know who I am though, right? Which is just the ultimate, cop-out thing to say. So I think, I love his mentality. He's been great on the field. I think we got a really good cornerback. He's going to be awesome for many, many years for us, hopefully. King Eagle, appreciate you being in here, says, I recommend you go watch the franchise guy video on Jalen Hurts and see how frequently Jalen Hurts is missing wide open receivers. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, like I said, talked about, especially in that last game versus the Bucs. I mean, there's accuracy issues. He also isn't reading the field quite well enough and just missing guys. So that's definitely, I mean, it's not ideal when you've paid the guy $250 million and then you're trying to I'm trying to make a case that, we still got to give him a little bit of time. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been times when he's missed guys, but I think there's also been a lot of good that people aren't talking about this year just because of the disappointment. But we'll see. This is an interesting one. Bailey Effect says, I'm starting to think Jonathan Gannon was the real genius in 2022. It's crazy to go back and think about how much we all hated Jonathan Gannon, especially for that Super Bowl, defensive performance, which was terrible. Definitely can't argue against that. But it's just now that we've had Sean Desai and Matt Patricia and now Vic Fangio these first 4 games, Jonathan Gannon's defense in 2022 was really, really good considering all those things. The pass rush was awesome. Obviously, the personnel's different now. We had Hassan Reddick. We had Javon Hargrave. Josh Sweat was playing awesome. Brandon Graham was playing awesome. But I think part of that, I mean, you got to at least give some credit to the coaches and, give Gannon a little bit of his flowers. I feel like I kind of owe him a little bit of an apology just because, I mean, if I got to pick between Jonathan Gannon, Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, Vic Fangio, and how all those defenses have looked during the Nick Sirianni tenure, I'm going to go with Jonathan Gannon. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely that. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, like I just said, you're right. 2022 was Hargrave, Graham, Cox, Reddick, Sweat, TJ Edwards. Different team. Yes, you're right. Very different team. But still, I mean, I think it's worth noting. We've had talent on defense. Maybe not as much as that year, but we've had, especially this year, we do have talent on the defensive side of the ball. It's just, I don't think we're using the guys correctly a lot of the time. But let me get into this Nick Sirianni thing that obviously the whole title is about. So what is it called? Yeah, this is Nick Sirianni's last chance with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, obviously, right now, Nick Sirianni is taking a ton of heat, rightfully so. Obviously, last year, the whole collapse, he was at the forefront of that. He was, he's always taken accountability, saying everything that's out on the field is a product of him. It's a reflection on himself. And he definitely does deserve a lot of the blame. I think more than anybody else, he deserves a lot of the blame because, it looks like a team. There's things about this team. They just don't look like they just don't look like a well-coached team right now. Like there's basic fundamental things and aspects of the game of football that they just don't do well, such as the tackling and just, they've dropped passes. It's just, a lot of that's bad. And I think the reason that Nick Sirianni is still here is because he's willing to, at least Jeffrey Lurie believes that Nick Sirianni, I at least think he believes that Nick Sirianni is going to do what he says and is going to execute the vision that him and Howie Roseman might have for the team. And he was willing to bring in these new coordinators and do all that. And then supposedly take this backseat role as the CEO, executive head coach which Jeffrey Lurie has said he prefers, his head coaches to be more of a leader than a offensive play caller. He values the leadership aspect of that position more. He says that's more of a CEO type of job. And then offensive coordinator would be play caller, for example. So, the whole pitch for him coming back was Kellen Moore's going to take over the offense, and then Nick Sirianni is going to take this step back and be the CEO head coach. But the thing is, it doesn't seem like Nick Sirianni is taking a step back from the offense. The Eagles are currently 19th in motion out of all teams, which Kellen Moore's offenses are usually towards the top of the league in motion before the snap. So obviously that's got Sirianni's fingerprints all over it. The route trees, week 3, Dallas Goedert's route tree was so creative. Routes across the middle of the field, short routes, deep routes, all this different stuff. It looked awesome. And then week 4, it was just, stuff that we would have seen last year. All the routes are going to the outside of the numbers, all that stuff. So that's definitely, again, a reflection on Nick Sirianni. Looks like Sirianni's got his fingerprints on the offense. And then you got things like, plays under center, right? They're towards the bottom of the league in that. You got things like play action passes. I think they've ran 6 play action passes all season, which is, that's just insane it's crazy, especially since literally yesterday when I was editing my video, right? I had to get clips from the training camp, Jalen Hurts mic'd up thing. And there was 3 different play action rollouts, bootleg plays that you just don't see in the offense this year. So I'm trying to wrap my head around, I literally just watching that video was so weird because there's a ton of these short passes, right, over the middle of the field. There was a ton of these play action rollouts, all this stuff. And then you get to week 4 versus the Buccaneers, and there's none of that. There's nothing across the middle of the field. Everything is, a stick or a flat or what's it called? Just all the route trees, the route tree in week 4 specifically for these receivers, Dallas Goedert, just uncreative. It looked like last season. Meanwhile, during training camp, it seemed like things were a lot different. I talked about yesterday in my video how the reports in training camp were that Jalen Hurts was progressing and becoming better at reading the field. He was hitting all these short throws and just playing that point guard kind of role that we need him to do since we have all these star players at the skill positions on offense. But it doesn't look like he's doing that. He's holding the ball longer during these games. He's trying to make plays when they're not there. He's trying to extend it. It's just, I think a lot of that is the product of Nick Sirianni still having a lot of control over this offense, a lot more control over this offense than we initially thought. Because you see the things like no motion. You see the things like, these route trees, these basic route trees that, we were calling it a high school level offense last year. Maybe it's not that bad this year, but you still see a lot of those things being inserted in there a lot of the time, and it's just not ideal. So yeah, I think Nick Sirianni definitely, he's got his hand in this offense. It's very obvious, and he needs to take a step back. Otherwise, he's going to get himself fired. I said this in my video yesterday. I remember watching this video. I think it was the Eagles' last episode of Unscripted, and it was him talking to the team in a meeting. And he said, hold on a second. I got to shout this out. Anthony Perry, appreciate you, my man, for $10. 21 in the live, got to support. I appreciate you, dude. That really does mean a lot. You guys do not have to send me money, but I really appreciate that. Appreciate you too, Anthony, because I know you've been watching the videos for a long time. But as I was saying, in this team meeting, he was saying to the entire team, by the way, in front of the entire team, we all got to check our egos. I got to check my ego. I got an ego. You got to leave it at the door for the sake of the team so that we as a team can get better. And correct me if I'm wrong, But I just feel like Nick Sirianni still very much having a hand in this offense, it seems like, and trying to control it, that he's not checking his ego. He's got to take his own advice and leave his ego behind at the door and do what's best for the team. And right now, it doesn't seem like he's doing that. Like, Kellen Moore was supposed to come in here and take full control of this offense. And week 1, things looked, I think, a lot different than they did in week 4. But for the most part, we haven't seen that. And I think to save his job, he's just going to have to, he's going to have to do that. And I want to get to this article, see if I can find it here. It says it's a bold, no, it says it's a bold take. I don't think this is a bold take. Hold on, let me get it on the screen. Oh, streaming. It's difficult, but it's fun. I like this. I want to do this more. Okay. Nope. Share this tab instead. Okay. So, yes, okay, we got it. So it says, bold take, this could be the beginning of the end for Eagles Nick Sirianni. I don't think that's a bold take at all, because the article then goes on to say that coming off this bye week, we're 2-2, right? We've had a ton of these issues. He still seems to have a hand in the offense, whatever. But after this bye week, we got some good stuff going for us. We had a chance to evaluate everything that happened in the season. We can make adjustments, and we're going to get stars like A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith back against the Cleveland Browns in week 6, like it says right here. But if the Eagles start off slow and they lose this game against Cleveland, for example, or they lose the game after that versus New York, they could be in a really difficult position. Nick Sirianni specifically could be in a really difficult position. And the seat's only going to get hotter, and he might actually end up getting fired mid-season. And then this article goes on to outline that Bleacher Report's Brad Gagnon put together a list of bold takes after 4 full weeks of action and made a prediction about head coach Nick Sirianni, saying they have 2 weeks to fix this. A post-bye loss to Cleveland at home would likely be the beginning of the end for Nick Sirianni in Philly. And then the article goes on to say, if the Eagles were to lose to the Browns in week 6, it certainly would be a bad look, but it still would be extremely surprising to see the Eagles make a move involving Sirianni this season. Philadelphia had the chance to move on this past offseason, but decided to keep him around. It would be a bad look to go back on their decision, not even halfway through the 2024 season. There is a chance the Eagles will move on from Sirianni after the season if they struggle the rest of the way, but don't expect the team to fire Sirianni this season. Now, that's Patrick McAvoy's take on it. I would say, okay, I've said in the past, I said in a video this week, I believe, that I don't think the Eagles are going to fire Nick Sirianni mid-season unless, you start seeing a ton of losses in a row and the Eagles are just getting out of the playoff picture. But I mean, if they lose to Cleveland and then they lose to New York, or they lose one of those 2 games, I mean, the seat was already hot. It was getting hot after they won versus the New Orleans Saints in week 3 because of some of the bad decisions he made. Hold on, Gavin. Give me a second. Gavin, I really appreciate you. Philly's the GOAT, $5 donation. I really, really appreciate you for that. Shout out to you. Shout out, Gavin. He's been a supporter of the channel for a long time. But, yeah, Nick Sirianni's seat has only gotten hotter as the season has gone on, really, after that, week 2 blown lead against the Falcons. After week 3, they won that game, but they had those questionable decisions there going forward on those 4th downs and costing the team points. And then last week, obviously, just the game plan, it looked like Sirianni's fingerprints were all over it. And it just looks like they had the same fundamental problems that they've had during this entire stretch. I believe they're 8-11 in their past 11 games. Or no, 3-8, in their past 11 games. They seem to have these same issues, and it's all, Nick Sirianni's the common denominator there. So I feel like if they lose these games versus Cleveland and New York, say they lose these next 2 games, right? I feel like there's a chance that the Eagles could maybe fire Sirianni. Like, I'm not even kidding. I've been a guy, like I said, that has said probably more than likely they're not going to fire Sirianni during the season. But if they lose these next 2 games against 2 teams that have no business beating them, I think they could. There's a possibility they fire Nick Sirianni. So, yeah, I mean, this is a crucial stretch for them. I mean, the Eagles have the easiest remaining schedule in the league. So Nick Sirianni has a chance. This is the best possible opportunity. This is the easiest it's going to get. It's the easiest it's going to get. Nothing is going to, if he can't turn it around now, he's never going to. It's just how it is. Because if he doesn't, take a step back or just check his ego, like I said, give up full control to Kellen Moore, and we keep having these same issues, I mean, it's never going to get better. It just doesn't seem like it'll ever get better under him, and we're going to have to move on. And, then it would be interesting to see who they might bring in as a replacement. There's this article that I have pulled up here. Let me see. Can I get it up? My fault. Pause. Can I get it up on the screen? I do apologize because I know that I'm not the best at this, but I'm getting better. I will get better as I do this more. So it says Eagles pondered bringing in legendary head coach. And I think we all know who they're talking about when they say that. Let's get down here. So Tim McManus apparently said that Jeffrey Lurie pondered making a move to bring in Bill Belichick this offseason as the head coach, which I think we all knew. There were reports at the time, but this just kind of confirms it. It says, then again, this season was never going to be about the opponent or the talent. It was all about whether this team could properly get off the mat after imploding down the stretch last season and how well they'd handle adversity when it inevitably hit in 2024. Now, as I've said, it seems like they've had a lot of the same issues, so maybe not exactly what you would have wanted to see from Nick Sirianni starting this season. Says it was about whether CEO Jeffrey Lurie, who pondered Bill Belichick at some point during the 9 days between the end of last season and when the organization signaled Sirianni would return as head coach, made the right decision, particularly in light of the season-long strain between Hurts and Sirianni during the 2023 campaign. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Maybe Bill Belichick would be a candidate if they decided to move on from Nick Sirianni midseason. I don't know if they would do that. But again, like I said, if they come out and they lose these next two games to Cleveland and New York, or at least they don't fix some of the issues, I think there's a chance it could happen. I think I missed a super chat. Wow, Fumble Edge, really appreciate you, man. Says, I'm a Bears fan, so I watch the Bear. My fault. I can't even see what that says. So I watch Bears now by Chat Sports, but you're my favorite football YouTube creator. Eagles are my second favorite. Really appreciate you, man. You're a Bears fan still watching these Eagles videos. That means a ton to me. Appreciate you, my guy. You're the go-to Eagles news. Y'all are so nice to me. Why? Appreciate you, Steven. Shout out to you. Again, everyone who's in here, 119 of you right now. If you haven't already, hit the like button. We got 90 likes. Let's get to 119 likes. But yeah, again, really appreciate all you guys. Jonathan Graham says the Eagles are a sloppy team. Jalen definitely deserves some blame, but it's hard to not turn the ball over when there's a lack of attention to detail at all fronts. That's what I'm saying. You can blame Jalen for these things, but I think a lot of the time he's just trying to make a play when, maybe it's not there because of the lack of, detail, like you're saying. These things are going, in football, they always say this. In football, if one person messes up, the entire thing's messed up. I think Jalen's trying to overcompensate for some things, and that's why you're seeing a lot of these turnovers. But, I don't I don't think Jalen is fully at fault. He does deserve some of it, but there's definitely some more issues. You can find where a lot of people don't even bring up articles to support their thought process. Oh, I know. I'm just, I appreciate you, man. Just, this is new to me. So I'm trying to figure it out as I'm going. But I do appreciate all you guys for being in here, especially since this is unannounced. And I know I'm all over the place. I know I'm talking fast, which I tend to do all the time in my videos and everything, but I will get better. As I continue to do more of these, hopefully. And I want to get better equipment so this sounds better, because I know the sound quality is not great. I know the video quality is not great, but I do appreciate, again, all you guys for being in here. Powerline says best football YouTube ever. Really appreciate that, man. Let's see. What else did I have to talk about here before we get on up out of here? Just a couple more things. So I talked about Bill Belichick, that whole thing. I'm curious. You guys give me your opinions. Would you like to see Sirianni fired mid-season, say if we lose these next two games or one of the next two games? And who would you want to replace him, say, next offseason as the head coach? I personally like Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. But there's definitely some other good candidates out there. So you guys let me know on that. I do want to talk about one other. Fired now, you say? Mid-season fired, says Scooter Scoot. Rocky says, to be honest, if we lose in the playoffs, Nick will 100% be fired. It's definitely trending in that direction. He said, I feel like he's good the first 3 seasons. Nick was in Philly. Nick had led the Eagles to the playoffs, but I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, these past 2 years has just been a downhill trend. Mr. Alternation says, fired now. Powerline says, Bill Belichick. I like Ben Johnson more, but I understand people wanting Bill Belichick. He's a great coach. Obviously, one of the best coaches of all time. Says right now, fired. Bill Belichick, fired. Have Kellen Moore take over. That would be interesting. I'd be curious to see how he'd be as the head coach. I want to see a full Kellen Moore offense, man. Like, Sirianni just got to check the ego, take a step back, let Kellen Moore do his thing, and then we can actually accurately, like, Nick, if you want to save your job, let Kellen Moore handle the offense. That's all I got to say. I mean, but Mike Vrabel is a good one. I haven't talked a lot about him, but I do like him. I like his no-nonsense, attitude. Their defenses in Tennessee are always pretty good. I like that. Say give him till the end of the season. I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. I don't think we're going to lose to the Browns. I don't think we're going to lose to the Giants. But if we did, I think that'd be the only thing that make me be like, okay, maybe we need to make a decision right now. Because we have such a talented roster at the end of the day. Like, there are deficiencies in some areas. Edge rusher, for example, we still have such a talented team. There's been less talented teams that have won Super Bowls, especially on offense, man. Like, we have the potential. It's there. We just got to figure it out. Easier said than done, but still. Yeah, everyone's saying Bill Belichick. Not sure if Ben Johnson will clash with Kellen. Well, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Who knows, though? Ben Johnson, you say, fire Nick immediately. Why would I want a coach that I'm begging to stay away from the team? It's a good point. I mean, what is he like? He's supposed to be a good leader, and obviously the guys like him. But aside from that, what is like? It's like, please don't touch the offense. Please don't do anything to the offense, because like it shouldn't be that way with your not wanting your head coach to be involved with certain things. Like, it's probably not a recipe for success there, but. A full Moore offense is going to be good and dangerous. Yeah. Get rid of no play Slay, Maddox, and take Trash Perry too. Yeah, those 3. It's crazy how in 2022, that was like the best secondary in the NFL. And now here we are. It's crazy. I want Vic on. I hate the scheme. I'm starting to hate the scheme. I mean, I hated this. Oh, man. I've hated the scheme for a while, but I was like, you know what? This is the godfather of the scheme, That would be good. Big Dom, interim head coach. So they let the coordinators do their job. That'd be funny. That'd be crazy. Let's see here. Anthony says, we are 2-2. The division is still wide open. Do not panic. Injuries are the instruments of attrition. We are getting healthy at the right time. Teams like Dallas are being hit with injuries now. It's a good point. I mean, again, I'm trying to stay positive. You're right. We are just 2-2. You got all this time left, all the time left in the world to figure things out. But yeah, it's just big. I feel like it's like a continuation of last season, which is what's making me question it. But yeah, Vic scheme is meant to have Cooper. I think Cooper DeJean's going to get out on the field soon based on what he said. He might start coming off the bye week. So we'll see. Gavin says, keep Nick until the season ends, see how it goes. I would love to see Bill coach. So yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Sirianni, but this stretch right here is his last chance. And this is the last thing I know there's a couple more things. Hold on. Because I do want to point out a tweet that I saw that I thought was really interesting from a former Eagles legend, Seth Joyner. So he said something very interesting about the way the Eagles defense practices that could explain some of the issues with the missed tackling. So, obviously last week, Eagles missed 18 tackles. Not exactly ideal, not what you want to see. Pretty horrible. And then Seth Joyner releases this tweet. See if this is working. It is, I think. It should be. Okay, it's working. It says, just going to leave this here so you have an idea of practice intensity and how it translates to game intensity. This tackling donut is the worst aid ever created. What freaking player is shaped like this? And we wonder why these players can't tackle worth a crap. So that's a good point, because the Eagles do use these, during practice quite a bit. I think we've seen tons of videos. Let me readjust my thing here so you guys can actually see this. Yeah, so I mean, they like practice with these tackling donuts, but he makes a good point. Like, what player is shaped like this? How does this actually translate to the game? And I mean, yeah, like, look, I'm not going to act like I'm an expert. And it's not like I played football either. I never played football. I don't know if you guys can tell. I never played football. I never did. I played basketball, but I never played football. I just love Philadelphia Eagles, love talking about them. But this to me, you guys who did play football can let me know. Like, this looks stupid. Like when he puts it like that. Like I never really thought about it. I just kind of thought it was like maybe league standard or something. But he makes a good point. What player is shaped like that? How does this make you a better tackler in an actual game? So I just thought that was interesting. And hopefully, I mean, if this is really not working, the Eagles, hopefully they made an adjustment during the bye week and they can make some adjustments to their practices and not use that crap and figure it out. But I'm just curious if you guys had any thoughts on that. So yeah, the donuts, not playing Devin White. Well, let me read some of these. We do need Sidney Brown back. I definitely agree with that. I like the way he plays a lot. It's okay. You don't have to play football to know your stuff. Look at most of the kids. Yeah, I know. Like I did not. Did Mike McDaniel probably didn't play football. Appreciate you guys still sticking with me, even though I never played. But I'm just a fan. You know, I just love the team. Well, I love the team and I hate the team right now. But that's just how it goes, you know. Same thing with the Sixers. I love the Sixers. I used to do Sixers videos. And right now, I'm so excited to watch their season. And then I'm going to hate them in a couple months. And they're going to disappoint me. It's just going to be how it is. But whatever. We use this in practice for form. Well, I don't know. I mean, Seth Joyner, I feel like I trust what he has to say. So, I mean, I don't know. When you grab and lift the pad, it represents a player's pads. I understand the sled. The sled makes sense to me. The donut, though, I don't know. I mean, I trust the guy who was high-level NFL defensive player. But am I from Philly? I'm from like 45 minutes outside Philly. So essentially, not quite, but I'm in the area, so that's why I'm an Eagles fan. I'm not from Philly. I'm not from that whole I'm not from Philly, but I'm from near Philly. So that's why I'm an Eagles fan. 5 missed tackles by Dean are too much. We should take a look at our other options. Yeah, definitely. The thing is, Nakobe Dean, I thought has had a lot of really good moments to start the season. Especially like week 1, he had some really nice moments, I thought. But 5 missed tackles is way too much. So I'm not at the point where I want to see him benched or anything because I think he does have talent. I know Seth Joyner has something to say about that. He had a tweet about Nakobe Dean kind of destroying him. But I definitely do think, he's going to have to get better. And if he continues this trend, then we might have to make a decision. What I don't understand is why they won't just at least activate Devin White. Like, why is he inactive every single week? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's ridiculous. I wonder what he did to the coaching staff. It says the donuts are weighted and it teaches how to wrap up. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I never played football, so I'm not sure. But Seth Joyner seems to have a problem with it, so I wonder if changing that would help things. But who knows? Devin White's the new Rashad Penny. He definitely is. Rashad Penny retired, right? Yeah, he went to the Panthers and then retired. I feel bad for him because we signed him. There's all this hype around him, and then you don't play him. Same thing with Devin White, and I understand why he'd be pissed off too. But yeah, all that being said, this is the last thing I want to talk about now. All that being said, we got all these games tomorrow. We're going to watch and see how the NFC East teams do. Commanders, hopefully they lose. Hopefully the Cowboys lose. But we're still really early in the season. We're 2-2. We got 13 games left. We got the easiest remaining schedule in the entire NFL. Let's see. Present. Share screen. Share screen. All right. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Where is this? There it is. Share. Cool. Yeah, look at this right here. We got the Browns. They're 1-3. Giants, they're 1-3. Bengals, they're 1-3. Jaguars, they're 0-4. 2-2 Cowboys. Commanders, they're tough. Rams, what are they? They've had their struggles. They've also looked good at times. But that's definitely a very winnable game. We've beaten the Rams in LA pretty consistently. The Don't know what just happened there. The Ravens, that's a tough game. But then you got the Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, all very winnable games. We have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. So everything's still right in front of you. The thing is, for Nick Sirianni, this is his last chance. Like, he's got to figure it out or he's going to be gone. So it's going to be about whether he wants to be stubborn and continue to insert himself into the offense and continue to do these things that he's been doing and like limit them. And so I've called it handcuffing. I think I saw that on Twitter somewhere. Someone said he's handcuffing the offense. I fully agree with that. But I mean, he's got to figure it out. He's got the easiest schedule left in the league, so he's got, all the opportunity to do it. Everything's set up for him to do it, but he's just got to take that step back. He's got to look himself in the mirror, check his ego, let Kellen Moore run the offense, and hopefully things get fixed from there. But that's pretty much all I got to say. Obviously, can't look too far ahead like Anthony's saying here. I just was like looking at the rest of the schedule, seeing who we got. But first game's against Cleveland. You got to win that game. Start there and build momentum from that. We're going to get AJ back. We're going to get DeVonta back. So hopefully we can build some momentum. We can win some games. We can start to make a run here and make a push to take the lead in the NFC East. These games tomorrow are going to be important. So I hope you guys have a good time watching the games tomorrow. Hope you guys have a good time watching the Phillies game, which is going to start in just a little bit here. So that's pretty much all I got to talk about as well. So I'm going to get up out of here. But again, every single one of you guys who did tune in, I really do appreciate you. Obviously, I'm not the best at this. I haven't done one of these in over a year, but I do want to do more of these in the future. So again, appreciate you guys for being in here. I will get better as time goes on. But yeah, I mean, appreciate all you guys for being in here. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll probably have videos out. I'll probably have a video out Monday and all week. But yeah, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this stream. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.